Welcome. I'm John Wesley, the Journeyman guitarist, and I am not a PRS fanboy. I have been accused of such. And this weekend, Paul Reed Smith and the company celebrated the 40th anniversary. And it was, from what I understand, a heck of a party, but I wasn't there. Well, not because I wasn't invited, because I was actually very graciously invited, but because my wife and I celebrated our 25th anniversary within days of that. And actually, on the day of the party, my son was celebrating his 13th birthday. So let's just say, from a political perspective, it would not have been a great move for me to be in Anaheim when the family was in Tampa. So, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. 40 years of PRS, and I am not a fanboy. Have I been playing PRS a long time? Well, okay, yeah, 36 years, but that doesn't make me a fanboy. Do I love the instruments? Well, yeah, I love the instruments. The instruments are some of the finest I've ever played in my life, but that does not make me a fanboy. Now, you might ask, why am I going on about this? Is because I don't play PRS guitars out of some hero worship or some need to be a fan of a guitar brand. And God bless those of us that are. But I play it for a different reason. And that reason is I am a journeyman. I make my living playing guitar. I have made my living playing guitar professionally. I think I hit the road right out of college in 1985. So that's a year or two. And pretty much through that time period, the bulk of my life has been dedicated to playing guitar. And I have to play instruments that function. I have to play instruments that sound good. I have to play instruments that always deliver. So there is no fan element here. There's a professional element here. And it starts, well, let me just give you a quick story. A couple weekends ago, I was playing the Bubba Bash, a Neil Peart tribute, and we were playing Rush songs. And basically, it's really difficult. You get 3 Rush songs. It's a different group of guys for each song. You get one run through. That's it. Go. And I had been learning the set on, I have a Strat kitted out with the Alex Lifeson electronics in it. And it's a fantastic guitar. I love that guitar. And it sounded great. But as I got closer and closer to the show, I noticed that I wasn't playing the guitar as well as I should have been. And I had not planned to take anything but that guitar with me to the Bubba Bash because it's the Alex Lifeson guitar, but I wasn't playing it well. And at the last minute, I'm talking 3 days before, I started changing my practice session to this. There it is, to this. And yes, it's a PRS. Well, why would I do that? I mean, yeah, there were times when Alex in his career played PRSs, but I had this big plan to play this other guitar and I'd been practicing with it. Well, it's the same thing that's happened to me so many times in the past. When it came down to crunch time, I had to have a guitar that I was comfortable with, a guitar that I knew I could get everything out of that I needed. And again, I reached for my PRS. Now, this happens to me all the time. I play with a band right now called Vertical Horizon. I tour with them a lot. We do a lot of different gigs all over the world. And I could play anything, but the needs of the gig always have me reaching for this. And that goes back to the Porcupine Tree days. I spent from 2002 to 2010 in a band called Porcupine Tree. And then a couple of years later, I toured with Steven Wilson on his solo tour. And I could have played any guitar. But what did I reach for? I reached for my PRS. And it's kind of a Tim Pierce thing. I was watching a Tim Pierce episode when he was talking about different guitars, and we all have guitars that we love. I have a series of old Les Pauls that I love with, and a couple of them have come from people very close to me, so they have deep meaning for me. And I love the way those guitars play and sound. And I could take some of those guitars with me, but when it comes down to crunch time and I start to panic, and I know that I have to have something I can rely on, something I can access all of the ideas that are going to come out of my little wee brain, I'm going to reach for this, or I'm going to reach for one of the several other PRS guitars you see in this rack. Why is that? It's not a loyalty to the brand. I mean, I am loyal to the company and to the brand and greatly appreciative for the relationship we've had. I've had a working relationship with PRS since 2002, but I started playing PRS in 1989, and not because I had a relationship with the brand, but because I had a need. I had a need to have a guitar that could deliver on the gig 4 to 5 sets a night, 6 to 7 nights a week, 50 weeks a year. And at that time, I was playing some other guitars. They weren't cutting it. They were rusting out in the beach environments. The trims were going bad. I was wearing them out. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, man, you got to check out these PRS guitars." And I had seen them in the store when they came out, but they were the core models, and there were nothing I could ever afford. But then he knew I was desperate, and he came to me, and he says, my friend Russell Farrow was working at Thoroughbred Music, and he says, "Hey man, check this out. PRS just came out with these. It's called their CE model, and their CE model is an affordable model. And I think with a couple of your guitars that weren't that valuable, and a little bit of cash, we can make it work on this." And actually, with one guitar and a little bit of cash and a trade-in, I was able to make it work. But what happened is, when I picked this guitar up, it came off the store rack in tune, intonated perfectly. And as soon as I put my hands on it, I was like, oh God, this is just kind of amazing. And I'm like, but I was trying to I was playing in a pop rock progressive band at the time, and I had to cover a lot of ground. And I'm like, can it do it? Can this beautiful guitar that, up to that time, the only people I knew that could afford them were doctors and lawyers and things. Could this do the job, man? Could this get me through a 6-night, 4-set-a-night gig? And Russell was like, oh yeah, it can. And so I took it and I put it on the gig, and my, oh my, oh my, it covered every bass. I rarely ever let go of it. And then I took another 2 guitars that I had 2 weeks later back to the store, and I bought a second PRS, which unfortunately is lost to the universe at this time, but I kept this one for a long time. This guitar, I even, there's an earlier video called How PRS Saved My Ass. And they saved my ass the first time with this guitar, because I needed something. I wasn't functioning well. I wasn't playing as well as I could. I was about to do a record, and I needed something. And this guitar came into my life. That didn't make me a fanboy. It made me a guy that needed a working guitar that could work, that could do the job, that could deliver, that could sound good, that could stay in tune, that could intonate. And it's the same thing, I connect to Tim Pierce, and Tim Pierce said the same thing. Many, many times when he's in a clutch situation, he's going to reach for his PRS because he knows he can always depend on them. So this guitar has done thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of gigs, toured all over the world. Sounds amazing. It's been on almost every record I've done. Like I said, that was 36 years ago. So I played this for a long time, got broke. It still had value, had to sell it. A friend of mine graciously sold it back to me when my conditions changed. And so I've had this guitar for 36 years, but not because I'm a fanboy. I have needs, and the needs were met by this instrument. And then there was another time I was playing in a band called Porcupine Tree, and it was they were an English band. I was the American guy they had hired. I'd had a relationship with Steve Wilson. He picked me out for the job, and I was playing a Les Paul at the time and trying to make it work. I'd put a Fishman bridge on it and was switching back and forth to the piezo thing, and man, it just wasn't working. And I called up PRS, and I talked to a guy named Wayne Krozak, And he said, let me go check out your band and let's see if I can help you. And he checked out Porcupine Tree, and the next day he said, yeah, we've got something coming for you. It'll arrive in the morning. And it was this. Yeah, Hollow Body 2. And it, in a lot of ways, I don't want to say it saved my gig, because I don't think I would have got fired from Porcupine Tree, but let's say it made my gig so much more enjoyable and right. And it began a relationship with the company that Porcupine Tree jumped into as well. Steve Wilson was playing a PRS at the time. And we both had these very, very, very demanding parts, very demanding sections. And the guitars needed to intonate. They needed to be able to travel, because we played all over the world in every environment. And these guitars took it, and they sounded good. Now, this guitar is the Hollow Body 2, and it's got the piezo section. So I was always able to put it into my gig rig setup and send that acoustic side out to the front of house and send the magnetic side to my amps. And it just always sounded good. I mean, listen to this thing again, So this guitar came into my life 23 years ago. I used it all through my career in Porcupine Tree, and I'm still using it in vertical. I just took it to Italy and Turkey, and we played some gigs there right before Christmas. And so this guitar is still gigging with me 23 years and hundreds of shows later. Very demanding shows. Does that make me a fanboy of PRS? No, it still makes me just a working guitarist that needs a working guitar. And this was it. Now, Porcupine Tree started getting heavier. And so I asked Win if there was some way that I could get a solid body guitar, a solid body PRS with a piezo in it. And he says, well, John, I've got a piezo trem bridge that we've put together with LR bags. It's in my drawer. We've never stuck a piezo in a solid body before, especially a piezo trem. But you know what? Let's see if we can do it. And so they made this for me, and I kind of had the neck made after this guitar that I'd fallen in love with years before. It's Christine. It's in one of my other videos. And I wanted this satin kind of feel, and they did it for me. And they put the piezo trem bridge, which actually that was 06. So I started using it in early 07, however many years. So anyway, last year, that piezo bridge finally died after 17, 18 years and got thousands and thousands of hours of shows. And this is today still my number one guitar. Again, like I said earlier, I reach for this wherever I go, and it's such a beautiful instrument. It sounds so beautiful, and it does everything that I need it to do. And like I said, when I panic, when I freak out, when I know that I just have to have something that's going to deliver, that's going to let me deliver, well, this is the guitar. Does so many things. Now, an interesting thing that I do that I hadn't mentioned that some of these guitars do is the coil tap on this, because sometimes especially with vertical horizon, if I want to outline a part or play a different kind, I can tap that coil and as you can hear, it's just an amazing sounding instrument. So this, that kind of wraps it up. I mean, I have a couple of other PRSs that I've fallen in love with through the years. I've got this beautiful Joe Walsh. This has done a lot of touring with me as well. It's got the stainless steel frets, just amazing pickups that Paul designed for Joe. Sounds great. It's in 5/9/4 scale length, which I really love. I think it's actually my favorite scale length now. This is another 5/9/4 that did a lot of touring with me 10 years ago. And you know, this thing here, which is a baritone guitar. And this baritone guitar has seen action on every one of my records and saw a lot of action in Porcupine Tree because we did a lot of crazy tuning. And man, again, this is another PRS that's just been with me all over the world, especially in Porcupine Tree and on a lot of recordings. So getting back to the initial thing, am I a fanboy? Well, I mean, not really. I'm a lover of these guitars. I'm a lover of the company. I love the relationship that I have with the company, but for a different reason than being a fanboy. It's because I'm a professional. I have to make a living, and I make music, and I'm an artist, and I want to bring that music to life. And these PRS guitars help me bring my art to life. They help me express the art of others that I work with and bring that to life. And they help me bring my own music and my own art to life. And so more than anything, I want to thank Paul and congratulate him on 40 years of helping all of us bring our art to life. And to all of the members of the rest of the company, thank you. Everyone there. Anyone who's ever had hands on these guitars, thank you for helping me bring the art of others that I work with to life and bring my own art to life. John Wesley, the Journeyman guitarist, signing out. Again, congratulations to PRS for 40 beautiful years.